One of the staples of the horror genre is a good old possession movie, with The Exorcist the go-to picture when it comes to a truly stunning possession-driven film. While something such as the Poltergeist franchise has thrown up a possessed house, Child's Play had similar pictures have centered on possessed dolls, and the likes of Christine and Maximum Overdrive are based around possessed vehicles running rampant. There's also some more unique or outright nuts movies featuring other items and artifacts being taken control of by some vengeful spirit. I'm Jess from What Culture, and here are the 10 most bizarre items to be possessed in horror movies. Number 10. Amityville 1992. It's About Time, a possessed clock. The sixth movie to be released under the Amityville name, Amityville 1992 It's About Time, is built around a possessed clock. It's about time. Get it? Much like the horrendous play on words featured in its title, Amityville 1992 is an outright stinker of a film. Also known as Curse of Amityville, the final chapter in some markets, a family patriarch makes the not-so-smart move of bringing home a clock from the old Amityville house. Wouldn't you know it, said clock cements itself to the family's mantelpiece, then starts to mess with them by turning their living room into a literal torture chamber of old. Setting a dog on the dad of the clan, having zombies stalking them, melts them into the floor, and even brings a bunch of time travel to the table. To say that Amityville 1992 It's About Time is one of the absolute worst films to have the Amityville name attached to it, that should tell you all you need to know. Number 9. Boru Heater, a possessed heater. Arriving on screens in 1989, Boru Heater, which I hope I'm not hideously butchering, aka Battle Heater, aka Electric Kotatsu Horror, is brilliantly nuts in its premise. For those not familiar with a kotatsu, it's a heating unit that's part of a small blanketed table. The aim is you put a blanket or towel over the top of the unit, then place your feet under the sheets to keep yourself warm. It's pretty simple to use, pretty darn effective, and can usually be used by several people at once. And most importantly, it's a relatively cheap option for those who can't afford pricey heating setups. In case you somehow haven't guessed where this is going yet, Boru Heater features a possessed kotatsu unit that has a penchant for biting off people's legs. And in this film, nobody is safe, for the villainous kotatsu is capable of walking, meaning that an entire apartment block is at its mercy. So intense, extreme, and outright vicious is this evil heating unit, it takes an Iron Man light protective suit to finally take the little bastard down at Boru Heater's clothes. Thankfully, this horror picture doesn't take itself at all seriously, unlike some of the other offerings featured on this list. Number 8. The Refrigerator, a possessed refrigerator. In Ghostbusters, remember how Sigourney Weaver's Dana Barrett opens her fridge door only to be greeted by Zool and otherworldly shenanigans? Well, the refrigerator takes that idea and spins it into an entire movie. As you may have guessed from the title, The Refrigerator is indeed about a possessed, demented, nefarious refrigerator. Having taken 4 whole years to make, yes, seriously, this Nicholas Jacobs directed picture, which eventually saw the light of day in 1991, sees young couple Steve and Eileen Bateman move into a New York apartment that just so happens to have a demonic fridge in it. Not only does this chilling unit have a mind of its own and an intent to cause all kinds of chaos, the fridge actually ends up serving as a portal directly to hell. It also has abilities of persuasion and mind control, obviously, as it starts to impose its evil will on the helpless Steve. Thankfully for the Batemans, Plumber 1 is on hand to take down the refrigerator, tying it up so that our protagonists can make their escape from the apartment. That's not before the fridge, which we find out is possessed by Satan himself, has managed to bring various other appliances to life to attack Steve, Eileen, and their pals. Number 7. The Mangler, a possessed clothes press. With classics like the Texas Chainsaw Massacre and Poltergeist under his belt, director Tobe Hooper delivered The Mangler to audiences in 1995. A short story from the legendary Stephen King, The Mangler's central premise revolves around a possessed clothes press that loves nothing more than squishing flesh and bones. Due to a combination of ice and blood being spilt on it, the electric laundry press takes on a mind of its own and causes chaos at Gartley's Blue Ribbon Laundry Service. Much like the majority of movies featured on this list, this 95 effort is clearly a tad bonkers. The thing is, Hooper takes a serious, deadpan approach to the picture, when a more lighthearted tone could have meshed far better with the initial idea. One silver lining of The Mangler is that genre fave Robert Englund gets to devour scenery, but not even the Elm Street icon could stop the film from being a total dud. Truth be told, there was no way that a short story that was a handful of pages had any right being adapted into a movie that ran for nearly 2 hours. Number 6. Rubber, a possessed car tire. Back in 2010, Quentin Dupieux's Rubber won plentiful praise when it was screened at the Cannes Film Festival. Sure, Rubber may be just a smidge bizarre, particularly in how parts of the movie serve as a film within a film, which points out how pointless a picture can be, but there's a certain charm to the antics of Robert. Yes, Rubber revolves around a car tire named Robert. Oh, and Robert also has psychokinetic abilities. Because why wouldn't he? After magically springing to life in the desert, Robert starts using his powers to cause animals and vehicles to explode. Before you know it, Bob is soon killing people as he embarks on quite the rampage that results in a fair few dead bodies being amassed. Even when the cop shoots and kills Robert towards Rubber's conclusion, the little fella is miraculously reincarnated as a tricycle, who ends the movie by leading his own brigade of tires in the direction of Hollywood. Rubber never explains who or what has possessed our main character across its 82-minute runtime. But hey, what more do you need to know other than the tire's called Robert and has a taste for blowing things up? Number 5. Deado Sushi, possessed sushi. The focal point of Deado Sushi, marketed internationally as Dead Sushi, is some killer sushi that bites back. There's a little more to it, mind, as Rina Takeda's Keiko is positioned as the lead of this strange tale. With her father viewed as a legendary sushi chef, Keiko takes it hard when she fails to match up to the impressive standards set by her old man. After failing as a sushi chef and struggling to master her martial arts, our central character opts to run away and start a new life as a hotel waitress. Nothing is ever that simple in the movies, of course, and Keiko soon finds herself having to battle demonic sushi. Playing very much like a trauma feature, after all this is from Noboru Iguchi, the same fella behind zombie-ass Toilet of the Dead, Deado Sushi is never shy on the gore, forever keen to throw in an overly cheesy sound effect, and actually has some damn fine fight scenes dotted across its 91-minute runtime. The promotional campaign for Deado Sushi promised sushi action, sushi erotica, and sushi violence. Let's just say the film doesn't fail to deliver on that promise. Number 4. Deathbed, the bed that eats, a possessed bed. Released in 1977, George Barry's Deathbed, the Bed That Eats, finds a possessed demonic bed at the center of its tale. When a demon's girlfriend dies as the two have sex on a bed, the tears of blood shed by this demonic sort brings the very bed itself to life. Well, once every 10 years that is, for the sinister bed becomes a living, breathing, human-eating entity each time the demon awakens from its 10-year rest. As the bed gets passed between each new owner of the house, this demon once again gets to feast on new flesh. And all the time, an artist who was once spared death by the bed is left trapped behind a painting, forever left to watch the death and bloodshed caused from decade to decade. Of course, the biggest question here is why would new occupants of the abode continue to use an old bed that's been around for generations? But hey, it's tough to go too hard on the logic of a film once you've already opted to start watching a picture titled Deathbed, the Bed That Eats. As it happens, 2002 saw reanimated director Stuart Gordon produce the Danny Draven-helmed Deathbed, which followed the similar premise of a bed tormenting and terrorizing people. Number 3. In Fabric, a possessed dress. Premiering in 2018 before being made widely available the following year, Peter Strickland's In Fabric is, on a basic level, about a possessed red dress that wreaks havoc for all those who it comes into contact with. The thing is, with In Fabric, there's so much more to digest, and unlike the majority of other movies featured elsewhere on this list, In Fabric is genuinely a great film. This picture has a stunning sense of style to it, with Strickland marvelously crafting an engaging, tense story from a premise that easily could have resulted in a mockery of a movie in someone else's hands. As In Fabric commences, we find Marianne Jean-Baptiste Sheila treating herself to a new dress as a way to cheer her up after a recent divorce, and working at a job where she's constantly berated. It soon becomes apparent that this dress has sinister intentions, and Sheila and her inner circle are quickly terrorized by this garment, before the dress then sets its sights on terrorizing a whole new bunch of people. By the time In Fabric ends, the possessed red dress not only has plenty of blood on its, hands, but it even manages to be the only survivor of a fire that took down the store the dress was initially purchased from. Number 2. Amityville 4, The Evil Escapes, a possessed lamp. 3 years prior to Amityville 1992, It's About Time, the Amityville franchise first visited the concept of possessed household items by serving up a demonic lamp in Amityville 4: The Evil Escapes. Attempting to make an everyday object terrifying is always a tough task, but Amityville 4 does an absolutely horrendous job of trying to generate any sense of genuine dread. Much like Amityville 1992 did with a clock, this '89 picture sees a family gifted with a lamp that was previously housed in the infamous Amityville abode. From there, mysterious happenings commence and some people end up dead. Yet The Evil Escapes never once manages to actually be scary. Instead, the overly serious approach of some overly serious actors means that it's impossible to take the film seriously. The performances in Amityville 4 mean that it comes off as continuously schlocky, amateur, and purposefully overdone for laughs. Yet, make no mistake, this is a movie that's never intended to be played for the chuckles. Number 1. Slaxx. Possessed Jeans. Elza Keffart's Slaxx is set in the Canadian cotton clothier's clothing store. As the film opens, audiences get introduced to Romaine Denise Libby, who just so happens to be starting her first day working at the store. All as CCC is about to launch its contorting, distorting Super Shapers range of jeans. From there, the dead bodies begin to stack up in the store, as these new jeans turn out to have a murderous side. But while Slaxx is very much a comedy horror light in tone, the final act brings a serious message to the picture when it's revealed that the pair of jeans are possessed by a 13-year-old Indian child laborer who was killed in the field used to harvest the materials to make Super Shapers. The movie still has its humorous touch firmly in place throughout the rest of the film, yet Keffart's picture manages to highlight the legitimately scary truths that so often accompany the real-life fashion industry, and the demand of its ever-changing tastes and trends.